Welcome everybody to Urbana City Council regular session Tuesday, April 5th. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman.
Here.
Mr. Pena.
Here.
Mr. Thackeray.
Here.
Mr. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Paul.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Fields.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first thing on our agenda this evening, the mayor has a couple proclamations for us.
Good evening. My first proclamation is for Healthy Kids Day. Whereas the YMCA conducted their first Healthy Kids Day in 1992. Now, 24 years later, it is the nation's largest annual recognition focusing on the importance of health. Exercise, nutrition, education for children and families. And whereas in April 2016, close to 1.2 million children and their families are expected to participate in activities planned for Healthy Kids Day at more than 1,300 locations across the country. And whereas the Champaign Family YMCA, along with fellow Passport to Wellness partners, the Champaign County Health Department, and Mercy Memorial Hospital will again hold their annual event at Urbana University, offering a wide variety of free interests, educational forums, and health-related vendors. And whereas encouraging children and adults to continue to engage in active play, challenging mind, and productive skill-related exercises will inspire a lifelong love of feeding the entire body what it needs to develop and flourish. Now therefore I, Bill Bean, Mayor of the City of Urbana, Ohio, do hereby proclaim April 16th, 2016 as Healthy Kids Day in the City of Urbana. Now, on the 16th, I expect to see all my fellow councilmen out there because I'm going to lead a 2-mile walk, and Paul Wasmuth said that he will have the squad behind me if I want for the 2 miles. But I'm going to be leading a walk out from Urbana University around the city for 2 miles. So put on your dancing shoes, or I should say walking shoes, and come join me on Saturday the 16th.
At what time?
And where?
I believe it's around 10:30.
At University?
At UU, yeah.
You said walk, not jog, right?
I said walk. Now, you can jog if you want to. So, put that on your calendar. My second proclamation is for Crimes Victims Rights Week. Whereas crime can touch the lives of everyone regardless of age, national origin, race, creed, religion, gender, sexual orientation, immigration, or economic status. And whereas many victims face challenges in finding appropriate services, victims of repeat victimization who fail to receive supportive services are at a greater risk for long-term consequences of crime. And whereas interfering with services that support and empower victims provides a pathway to recovery from crime and abuse, and whereas honoring the rights of victims, including the right to be heard and to be treated with fairness, dignity, respect, and working to meet their needs rebuilds their trust in the criminal justice system and the social service system. And whereas National Crime Victims' Rights Week, April 10 through 16, 2016, is an opportune time to commit to ensuring that all victims of crime, even those who are challenging to reach and be served, are offered culturally and linguistically accessible and appropriate services in the aftermath of crime. And whereas the City of Urbana is hereby dedicated to serving victims, building trust, and restoring hope for justice. Now therefore I, Bill Bean, Mayor of the City of Urbana, do hereby proclaim the week of April 10 through 16, 2016 as Crime Victims' Rights Week, and reaffirm the city's commitment to creating a victim service and criminal justice response that assists all victims of crime, and to express our gratitude and appreciation for those community members, victim service providers, and criminal justice professionals who are committed to improving our response to all victims of crime so that they may find relevant assistance, support, justice, and peace. Just a little bit on this. Of course, you know we have our VOCA grant, which is for victims. That's a little bit of what the city is doing, or I should say, our city is doing for the victims out there. I'd just like to say, in a little light to this, come this afternoon of the 16th of April, from 2 to 6, there's going to be a program out at the city park for finding a cure for heroin, and there will be activities. There will be people from support groups. I went last year, Audra and I went, and it was very uplifting to hear some of these people that get up on the stage and talk about their trials and tribulations when it comes to being addicted to heroin. They are victims, and they victimize people. So if you have nothing to do in the afternoon after you do your 2-mile walk with me, go out to the park, listen to these people, what they had to do to get off heroin. It's heart-wrenching to really hear what they have to say. And the group that puts this on does a very good job. So I would suggest going out there, listen to what they have to say, and speak with the people. I recommend it highly. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Next on our agenda, we have approval of Urbana City Council regular session minutes of March 15th, 2016, and Urbana City Council work session minutes of March 22nd, 2016. Council, to speak to that, we need a motion, please.
Mr. President, I move that we accept both sets of meetings as prepared. And I'll second. Or sets of minutes, excuse me.
Okay. No additions or corrections when you went through them? All those in favor of accepting the Urbana City Council regular session and work session minutes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. And we have 4 communications, Madam Clerk.
Number 1, invitation, the Mad River, Finding Common Ground, a public forum, emailed March 30th, 2016. Number 2, City of Urbana Shade Tree Commission minutes of November 12th, 2015, emailed March 17th, 2016. Number 3, City of Urbana Design Review Board minutes of January 25th, 2016, the City of Urbana Planning Commission minutes of February 22nd, 2016, and the City of Urbana Board of Zoning Appeals minutes of December 14th, 2015, emailed March 31st, 2016. Number 4, Champaign Countywide Public Safety Communications Center Financial Report, emailed March 17th, 2016.
Okay, Council, we can accept all these and then speak to each one individually.
I move that we accept all four communications.
Second.
Okay, any comments on the first one?
The meeting is right now.
I know, I almost went.
It would have been nice to be able to go.
I almost called in, so our substitute could have taken over, but I felt bad after the last time.
I wasn't too far behind.
Okay. I think it's a very important topic. I wish it would have been another night.
Have they had other meetings?
I haven't heard. I'm going to get a hold of the lady and see what, maybe we can all, the meeting's about groundwater. That's what's going on.
It would be nice to get a copy of the
Right.
minutes taken.
Right. Okay, anything on the Shade Tree Commission minutes? Doug's here to speak to that if we need to. Who's our council representative on the Shade Tree now?
I don't believe we have.
I'm supposed to be working with Doug. If it's Doug's responsibility, that's probably me.
Yeah, we don't have a formal appointee from council for Shade Tree Commission.
While we're here?
For a while there, we had a member of council
Right.
who was also appointed in that role. So, served his ward and also the council members.
Yep. Can we handle that now, Counselor?
It's not on the agenda.
I think, by the way it's set up by ordinance, a council member could potentially be a member, but
Right.
they wouldn't necessarily be a voting member if they were attending, unless they were a direct appointee.
Right.
But certainly, any of you can attend.
I was on when I was on council. Al was on. Al was
Right,
probably our last one.
Al was our last.
Right, so we need to put somebody else on council and appoint them. I will give you 2 weeks to come up with a volunteer, or speak among yourselves and see who you want to appoint. How's that?
I think Gene wanted to. When do they meet?
It's the second Thursday of every month at 7 o'clock, but there's about 5 months that we don't meet.
It's an important committee, but the guys that are there every day, Elmo Lehman and
Elmo kept it going for many,
many years, and it has it pretty much laid out to show up and sit down and listen. I hate to say that, but he did a great job.
Yeah, our next one's next Thursday at 7, so anybody that would like to attend, please,
Where do they meet?
up in the training room.
Meetings last anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour
Yeah, an hour.
at the most. I mean, that's with ordering a pizza, so. After you get there.
That's next Thursday.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Design Review Board minutes, Planning Commission minutes, BZA minutes, the Public Safety Commission Center report. Any of those you want to talk about? Okay, all those in favor of accepting all communications signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. And we'll move right into administrative reports from the Board of Control. Madam Clerk.
Number 1, the Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to the Detroit Salt Company in the amount of $35,025 for the purchase of 500 tons of road salt at the rate of $70.05 per ton through the Ohio Department of Transportation Winter Contract 018-16. This purchase will be charged to the street fund and is in the 2016 budget. Vote 2-0.
Okay, council, speak to this, we need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
This is a request to finalize our commitment to last year, for this year's winter salt program that we had to participate in last year. I think it was last spring, might have been April or May, when we had to, we asked permission to participate. In that, we only asked for 500 tons, because we had some coming, we had some on stock, we had some coming from the county, we were sharing a load with them. And this is our bid for 500 tons, which we thought we would need by the time winter came through. So at this point, the salt bin isn't clear full, but it's getting close. I don't anticipate we're going to have any more need to haul any more out. So our commitment is, our bid was 500 tons. We're committed to order 90%. or they're obligated to provide up to 10% over. So what we're asking for is just for, authorization to get our minimum requirement, or get our bid of 500 tons. Colin's checking the bin to see if we can get 500, or if we just take the 450 and call it a day. So our obligation is to take it by the end of May, so we've waited as long as we could to finalize this. So that's where we're going. Obviously, this will put us in good shape starting for the winter. We missed the deadline. We weren't even going to participate in the summer bid, but we will probably in May, late April, early May, they'll come back around for the next winter bid, which you take delivery after January 1st. So we'll evaluate what our needs are as we get closer to that, and come back with a resolution authorizing us to participate in next year's winter program if in fact we need it. So, yeah, this just fulfills our obligation for this year's winter bid.
Mr. Hoffman, questions?
No questions.
Mr. Saul?
A couple brief questions, Kerry. So if this is $70.05 per ton, do you recall what we paid last batch?
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe the last, a couple years ago when we got in, it was over $100 a ton, or close to 90 something. It was near $100 a ton.
We got some last year, didn't we?
We got a partial with the county, and I believe the price is in the same vicinity.
Okay. And so I was just kind of looking over the email from Ohio Gov, where this came from Austin Price, who's the person you're working with here. So you have to take at least 90%. Is it 90? So if there's 2 deliveries a year, is it 90% each?
No, it's 90% of the total commitment.
Total, okay, great. I just wanted to make sure I
I
understood.
think you have to have a minimum how much you have to take per delivery.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Yep, I didn't catch that then. Great, okay, that's all, thank you.
Mr. Stott?
No questions. And that was 90% of an annual commitment?
Yeah, we bid 500 tons, we would have to take 90% of that.
Right, okay.
Ms. Bean?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Parker?
No questions.
No other questions. All those in favor accepting the Board of Control's recommendation, authorize a purchase order to Detroit Salt Company, amount of $35,025, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Next one, please.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to Eastern Aviation Fuels Incorporated in the amount of $50,000 for the purchase of fuel for resale at the Grimes Airport Fuel Farm. Last month, council approved the retirement of the debt for the upgrades at the airport fuel farm, thus allowing the airport to negotiate fuel purchases with multiple vendors. By authorizing this purchase order, the current purchase order with Purvis Brothers will be reduced $50,000 in order to operate within the 2016 budget. This purchase will be charged to the airport fund and is in the 2016 budget. Vote 2-0.
Okay, council, speak to this, we need a motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay,
Chris?
last month when we retired the debt with Purvis Brothers, this gave us the opportunity to shop our prices around for the fuel that we sell at the airport. So in doing that, usually Lou will contact me early in the week. We'll place the order on Tuesday, they're delivering on Friday. So in order to accommodate that, we would like to have a blanket purchase order at the next 2 vendors, so that when he places that order, we have money on the books to be able to make that purchase.
If I could just add to that, we're not looking at really changing our total for the year, we're just spreading our PO money to other vendors. Just share something, Lou sent an email, and our current Purvis Brothers, the current vendor, has always been pretty tight with the pricing, and we're not always competitive depending on where we are in the loop. So he went out and shopped with some of the other vendors that we're looking at, Epic and Shell, I believe, and all of a sudden Purvis came down 54 cents a gallon on the price. So it's amazing kind of what happens when you get some competition involved. So our pricing has always been fairly competitive with the average in the 40-mile radius. So one of our closest competitors is London, and the current recent prices, we were almost paying what they're selling it for from our current vendors. So this gives us an opportunity to spread and get out there and get competitive with pricing and hopefully drive some more volume through the airport.
Mr. Paul, questions?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Scott?
No questions.
Mr. Thackeray?
No questions.
Mr. Kingman?
No.
Mr. Piper?
No.
Mr. Hoffman?
Quick question, do they change the prices out there based on what the other airports are? Like, gas stations now, they get the binoculars out and they... Supply and demand, right? That sets the price, unless they get their binoculars out.
Lou periodically, he checks on nav.com, I believe, it gives you all the pricing in a certain radius, and he's monitoring that daily, just trying to see if we're in the right spot to be competitive. So we don't have the flasher board, we can change any minute, but he can't change it daily, but it usually kind of changes it based on the competition and then what the next load is, so he adjusts it based on the delivery and price paid.
Any other questions, council?
Can I ask one more question? What kind of margin is there on fuel like that? If we bought $50,000 worth of fuel, what kind of return should we expect? Any idea?
Well, we're not doubling our money.
Okay.
But that's the case.
It's probably a good investment, I just was curious.
Right, we try to accommodate for the taxes, because we do have the fuel tax that we have to pay, and then also credit cards, if you're using something other than a Phillips 66, we have surcharges on that as well.
Okay.
Depending on the brand of fuel, if it's the Jet A or the low lead, we have a profit margin that we try to keep in there. We probably look at maybe 10%, 10 to 15%.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, council? How many people sell airplane gas? I mean, Purvis and Epic and Eastern Aviation. Is there anybody else?
There are some other vendors, but
They're not very big.
census, we're not within their
Okay.
area of
I
census.
see you only had two, that's why I asked. So
These
basically,
are the ones that have been competitive the last 12 months in each pricing.
okay. Other questions, council?
No, he's doing a great job.
Okay, all those in favor of accepting the Board of Control's recommendation on a purchase order to, this is the first one, Eastern Aviation Fuels, amount of $50,000 for purchase of fuels for resale at Grimes Airport, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And next is pretty much the same thing. Number 3.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to Epic Aviation LLC in the amount of $50,000 for the purchase of fuel for resale at the Grimes Airport Fuel Farm. Last month, council approved the retirement of the debt for the upgrades at the airport fuel farm, thus allowing the airport to negotiate fuel prices with multiple vendors. By authorizing this purchase order, the current purchase order with Purvis Brothers will be reduced $50,000 in order to operate within the 2016 budget. This purchase will be charged to the airport fund and is in the 2016 budget. Vote 2 to 0.
Council, speak to this one in the motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Pretty much the same
Sorry,
thing.
just different vendor.
For the same reason.
Any further questions, council? Okay, all those in favor of accepting Board of Control's recommendation, authorize the purchase orders with Epic Aviation LLC in the amount of $50,000 for purchase fuel for resale at Grimes Field, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous? Fill your tank up for $100,000, not bad. And number 4, please.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to Stantec Consulting Services Incorporated in the amount of $88,000 for design, bid, and construction, administration, observation at Grimes Field for the taxiway C extension and T-hanger site, including any associated environmental assessment or other miscellaneous tasks for the proposal dated February 5th, 2016. This expense will be charged to the appropriate open FAA AIP grants and the Airport Capital Improvement Fund and is in the 2016 budget. The FAA AIP grants will fund 90% of this cost, resulting in a net cost of $8,800 to the city. Vote 2-0.
Okay, council, speak to this one in motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Last meeting, we had the third final reading for our participation in the upcoming 2016 FAA federal plan, or airport improvement program. And this just circles back now and requests authorization for us to sign a contract with Stantec. This is the second year we've used Stantec as our consultant and engineering firm for the project at the airport. They've done an excellent job for us in the last program. They're closing out some previous programs that were still waiting for a couple of items to close out. So again, this program, the budget is $88,000. For this contract, we will get reimbursed $79,200. So net cost to the city is $8,800.
Mr. Scott, questions?
Are there other firms around that do the same thing Stantec does?
There are other firms in the state, but the one we've used most recently was CHA, was previously known as R.W. Armstrong. They'd been the consultant for a number of years, and it just kind of came to a point we just felt we could get a little more bang for our buck, a little more service if we stayed with Stantec, went to Stantec. We did go out for competitive quote to try to find a different consultant. Only had two respond. CHA, which is our previous consultant, and Stantec, which is headquartered over in the Columbus area. So they're very close to us. They can respond pretty quickly. They do a good job of coming over as needed to meet with us and make sure that we're current with all of our paperwork and get everything into the FAA.
They're full service. They're going to take it from design.
They take the whole thing for us.
And oversee the contract.
I'm sorry?
Oversee the contractor.
Do the bidding.
Right. They do all the final paperwork for the closeout with the FAA to make sure that all the deadlines, all the requirements are met, and be able to close it out and turn the program around quickly.
That's all I got.
Mr. Thacker?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
No questions.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
No questions.
Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Mr. Paul?
No, sir.
Okay, if no further questions, all those in favor accepting the Board of Control's recommendation to authorize the purchase order to Stantec Consulting Service in the amount of $88,000 for design, bid, and construction at Clarence Field, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. And that was our last Board of Control item. Moving to citizens' comments. Any citizen? If they were here. In spirit, you're here with us. Thank you. We'll move into ordinances and resolutions for third reading. Madam Clerk.
Resolution number 2478-16, a resolution to authorize the mayor or his designated representative to make application to the Champaign County Commissioners under fiscal year 2016 Community Development Block Grant Community Development Program, and to further authorize the mayor or his designated representative to pursue other economic development and public infrastructure related CDBG programs.
For the third time, Doug.
Yes, this will give us the ability to apply for CDBG funds through the county. We used to have our own program, but the state made some changes and required us, due to our population size, to go in with the county, so we now apply directly to the county. We are looking at, we actually were successful last year in getting funding for a sidewalk project on Oakland, which is going to go out for bid here later this week, for the first two blocks from Miami to Church on Oakland, to replace the curb and sidewalk on that section of street. So this year, we're looking at applying to the county to do the next block, going one block further north. So that's what we're looking at for the project to actually apply for with this approval of council to apply.
Okay, council, this is a third reading. We need a motion to that effect, please.
I'll move that we place resolution number 2478-16 on the floor for further discussion and possible passage.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Thacker, any questions on this or comments?
I don't. We've been through it a little bit, so we've got some good history with it.
Mr. Pena?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank you.
Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Mr. Paul? Mr.
No
Paul?
questions. Thanks, Doug.
And Mr. Scott?
No questions.
Okay, if there's no further questions, roll call to passage of Resolution 2478-16.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Passes unanimously, thank you. That's our last third reading. Second readings, please.
Ordinance number 4452-16, an ordinance to amend Chapter 963 of the Codified Ordinances of the City of Urbana, Ohio, to establish a board to oversee operations of Oakdale Cemetery.
Go ahead, Terry.
I think we've talked about this quite a bit in a couple of work sessions in the last meeting. Friday, I emailed everyone a copy of the draft bylaws and the draft, I guess I'm going to call it the operation summary and the strategy moving forward. Again, those are, the bylaws in particular are draft copies, and the fact that once the board's established, they will go through the bylaws and within those framework will kind of make it their own. And the board's going to be critical that they work together and develop what's going to work and what needs to be done. So they'll be developing the final draft for the board bylaws. Then the strategy, the operation outline basically is, those are the things that are going to have to be kind of the marching orders, if you will, of some of the assignments and the things that have to be evaluated by the board. But they're going to spend quite a bit of time in the first year is doing an assessment of current situation and find out, somewhat of a gap analysis, find out where are we, where should we be, what do we need to do to try to get to a different level. So it's pretty comprehensive and not a lot of detail, but it's outlined well, I think, in terms of making sure we've captured all the key points and the critical areas that have to be addressed. Again, that's one of those that will expand once they get hold of it and start building upon it. And I'm sure they'll find things that I didn't know to put in it, but I think they've got enough there to get things started and get everybody marching in the right direction.
Any questions?
No questions, because a lot of hard work put into it, and there's going to be a lot of hard work put out of it also.
Mr. Piper?
No question.
Mr. Hoffman? Mr. Paul? Mr. Scott?
No.
Mr. Thackeray?
No questions, but I'm glad we're being proactive with this. This is what we need to do.
Okay, hearing no more questions, I will declare ordinance number 4452-16 to have had a second reading. Next one, please.
Ordinance number 4453-16, an ordinance to provide a statement of services in the territory to be annexed, approve an annexation agreement with Urbana Township, and authorize the Director of Administration to sign the agreement on behalf of the City of Urbana.
Go ahead, Doug.
Yes, this is a property on Children's Home Road, actually butts up against the city. It's currently located outside of the city, and sometime last year, council approved allowing them to hook into water and sewer for this property, and a condition of that water and sewer permit essentially is that this property be annexed. So this is a first step in that process. This uses a different model of Ohio Revised Code as far as annexation, and basically there's an annexation agreement between the city and the township prior to the petition for annexation being filed with the county commissioners. So the annexation agreement also includes a statement of services as far as what services the city will provide to that property once it's brought into the city.
Mr. Piper, questions?
Are there a cost to the city for annexing?
No. That's basically the administrative cost of going through the process. When we get to the end, we have to record it at the county recorders, the documents that go along with it.
Thank you. Mr. Hoffman?
No questions.
Paul?
No, sir.
Mr. Scott?
None, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
Nope.
Mr. Pena?
No, thank you.
Okay, hearing no more questions, we'll declare ordinance number 4453-16 to have had a second reading. Next one, please.
Ordinance number 4454-16, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into an agreement for electric generation supply with a competitive retail electric service provider for use on public property and streets in the City of Urbana, Champaign County, State of Ohio, and declaring an emergency.
Terry?
As we explained the last meeting, as part of our membership to the Miami Valley Communications Council, they're going into a bulk or a group negotiations to try to get a group rate on electric generation supply. And so this is an opportunity for us to, again, last year we were able to come in with a little bit of a savings to get us through the last contract. But now we'll be lumped in with 26 different communities, so we believe, if history proves correctly, that we'll be able to, again, either hold our price or just the rate increase would be very limited and nominal based on the volume that they're going to be negotiating with.
Mr. Hoffman, questions?
No questions.
Mr. Paul?
No, great idea.
Mr. Scott?
None, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
No, sir.
Mr. Pena?
No, thanks, Gary.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll declare ordinance number 4454-16 to have had a second reading. And the next one, please.
Resolution number 2427-16, a resolution authorizing the Director of Administration of the City of Urbana to submit an application to the Ohio Department of Natural Resources under the Round 23 Nature Works program for park improvements and declaring an emergency.
And our finance director will take this with a smile on her face.
This grant we're applying for is for the installation and purchase of the membrane liner for the large pool at the city park. Earlier this spring, we installed the liner for the baby pool, so hopefully we'll have much success with that this summer. So this will prepare us to make that purchase that is close to $50,000. That's an estimated price, so hopefully we could receive funding for anywhere from $25,000 to $26,000. So half the cost would be available through the ODNR grant.
Mr. Paul, questions?
Do you know offhand, what was the liner cost for the smaller pool, baby pool?
For the baby pool, our initial quote came in at $4,000. However, because we didn't partner it with the larger pool installation, we ended up paying close to $6,000.
Okay. So we're looking at, your figured max for the big pool is going to be about 50,000?
That's what we're anticipating.
Okay.
It could be higher, but because of the price, we'll have to go out for a competitive bid. So this was just one vendor we got the price from.
Okay, great, thank you.
Mr. Scott?
No, thank you.
Mr. Thackeray?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
Now, the pool now, it doesn't have a liner, it's painted, right? Yeah,
Correct.
that's where all the cracks and...
Right, this will help us also prep the pool in the spring to get it ready. We just purchased the paint, it was like 50 gallons, 50 gallons of paint to paint the pool for the summer, so. And then also all the lining and everything we have to do, so.
Bell Fountain just took the same liner in their pool.
Thank you.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank you.
Mr. Hoffman?
Well, if we're going to stay in the pool business, it's something we need to do. That pool definitely has some aging infrastructure, right? We go there, we see clean water, we think it looks great, but, and I can speak to the baby pool, I mean, I'm sure that thing's leaked forever, so, you know, the ground with me is money around the pool, but it's definitely something that needs to be done if we're going to maintain the city pool. Thank you.
Any other questions, council? Can I ask one? Is this a pre-cut liner for this, or will it be?
It's my understanding it's built on site. They bring the material, roll it out, do the seams, then put them together.
Wow, okay, interesting. Any other questions, council? Hearing none, we'll declare resolution number 2427-16 to have had a second reading. And we have no first readings. And all ordinances were reviewed by our law director. Thank you. Miscellaneous business. Start with this end, Mr. Piper, anything this week?
Yes. Getting a lot of complaints from the Fourth Ward called about the city don't provide limb pickup after a storm. One lady, she's about 80 years old, lives on Concord. She said she got a letter from the city telling her she had to clean it all up. And she's been putting it out there for years, and the city's always picked it up.
I'd probably like to talk to you to get some more detail, but I can assure you that if there's storm damage in the community and it's in the right-of-way, we do make an effort to go back and get it. What we don't do is go pick up tree limbs and bushes and stuff that people trim out of their yard.
Oh, yeah,
because they don't want to haul it. The compost facility is open, and we had a storm over the weekend that was pretty significant. And if you have storm damage, they're more than welcome to take it to the compost facility, tell the attendant this is from the storm from this past weekend, and they'll take it. They're not going to charge you for it. Again, we've had episodes where folks, for whatever reason, think that they can just pick up sick out of their yard and stick it in the gutter, and that's not what we do. But if you have a specific question, I'd be happy to
This
talk to
lady,
you about it.
she was 80 years old. She'd been doing this for years, taking her sticks after a storm, takes them out, puts them by the curb. She had a small pile out there. The city sent her a letter, told her she had 10 days to get it cleaned up.
It must be probably a little bit more than what you're telling me, but I'd be happy to talk to you after the meeting, give you more detail.
All right, thank you.
Anything else? Anything else? Okay, Mr. Feeney.
Now, on our website, doesn't it say after storms, if limbs are broke down, if you set them by the curb, the city will pick them up?
I say, if there's storm damage right now, if somebody has storm damage from this past weekend, it just needs to be put by the curb, and we'll work towards getting it cleaned up.
Yeah, because I had somebody talk to me about that today also, so
Right.
just had to say that on there. It looks good out, everybody's mowing their yards, it's looking green, and the sun's fooling us with the cold weather, but it looks great outside, so keep up the great work, Urbana. I think everything looks good.
Mr. Thacker.
I was just going to say, be proud of your community and be sure it gets cleaned up in the spring. I'm starting to see some furniture on the front porches that isn't supposed to be, so we need to pay attention to that. But when spring comes and grass grows, it's a good time to trim and clean and take some pride in your community. That's all.
Mr. Scott.
I have nothing, Chair, thank you.
Mr. Paul.
Don't have anything.
Yeah, just a couple brief things. I'd like to move that we excuse Mr. Fields this evening.
All those in favor of excusing Mr. Fields, or is that a motion?
Yeah, that was a motion.
Okay.
And it was seconded.
And it was second. All those in favor of excusing absent member Fields this evening, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Excused.
The mayor was very eloquent in his Kids' Day presentation. Thank you very much. I was kind of thinking back a little bit to when I was growing up in the 70s, not to date myself or anything, but I was kind of laughing to myself thinking, what would somebody back then be saying in a meeting like this? And I think the proclamation would be more like, get your kids inside once in a while instead of trying to get them outside moving around. It's kind of a complete cultural change I think we've gone through over the past 15 or 20 years. I walk down the street, I don't see kids out anywhere, for the most part. So, good, that's good. I thought that was kind of interesting. I saw something in the minutes, and I apologize, I didn't make the work session. There were comments with regards to charter review. Let's see, there's a note in there about streamlining legislative procedures. We've talked about that, making residency requirement to state law. What does that mean?
Conform to state law. The charter has some residency requirements in it that ever since 2008 in the Lima versus Ohio case, they said you can open it up to voters to make your city employees live in the county or adjacent counties, but it has to be put before voters. Otherwise, any residency requirements that you have, Lima versus Ohio, the language is on the books, but it cannot be enforced otherwise. So if we actually wanted to put it before voters, there is a provision in state law, we could adopt that language as part of our charter instead.
What does our charter say today?
Our charter has a lot of residency requirements in it now that can't be enforced.
Okay. So it's kind of dead language, basically, anyway, right? So
We could do one or the other.
just a cleanup step. It was kind of what you're talking about. Okay. And I agree, there's a statement in there, Mr. Hess, that, nope, it was Ms. Parcels that said we should look at that every year. Is that correct? Look through the charter every year. I think that's a pretty good idea. That was all on that point. And I think, other than that, that was all I had.
To your point, at our next work session, we'll also visit the charter changes to see what we want to get done and get them as soon as possible. So
Yeah.
we'll be talking about that at our next work session too. Mr. Hoffman?
Just a statement, I had a little run-in with law enforcement the other day. I was dropping my children off at school, and I happened to pull into I guess it's the bus drop-off spot there. There were no buses there, but the kind officer walked up, and you could tell that, he didn't want to have a confrontation, but he came up, and I will say that the way he talked to me and the way he explained the situation, he was extremely professional. Now, me personally, I'm not going to give him a hard time because I know it wasn't supposed to be there, but I can see where officers have a difficult time with the public, and I will say that the chief and his individual officers are extremely professional. And the way he approached me, there was no one got in trouble. Let's just say he said, "Hey, look, they're wanting us to try to keep people out of this lane." There was no upset or hurt feelings in the confrontation. So it was really nice to see that these guys are trained up in social skills and dealing with the public, and I appreciate the way they handle themselves. So I'll pull up 20 feet next time. Drop my kid off, so. That's all I have.
Good to hear. Move over on this side. Doug, anything else?
Man, it's not even 7 o'clock.
Some people have things to do.
A couple of things. Grass is starting to grow. We will not officially start enforcing the tall grass ordinance until the beginning of May. So if you start receiving those calls, there won't be any letters going out until the beginning of May. That's per our ordinance. The letters this year, remember, once letters go out, there's always a compliance period. So if you call us and ask us to take care of something, it'll go out, but there's a period for them to comply. So after May 1st, we'll start enforcing that. Mr. Thackeray mentioned furniture. We have sent quite a few notices out for indoor furniture on front porches, couches, chairs. So if you have a specific one, let me know here after the meeting, and we'll make sure we attend to it. Okay, thank you. Taft Avenue, we had a CDBG project on that street that was planned for last year. We had a couple unsuccessful bids, high bids that we had to reject. Got a good bid at the beginning of this year, so we're going to be starting construction on that project here in April. Curb ramps are going to be replaced on Taft, and the street's also going to be resurfaced from Main Street to the city garage. So that work will be starting sometime here in April, and we have already sent letters to all the residents on the street, letting them know the project's coming. Last thing I had, we are going to realize a $9,000 savings on our US 36 project. If you remember, we came and asked you for an additional $9,000 because there was an appraisal template that hadn't been renewed. It worked out timing-wise that we were able to use the cheaper of the two templates for 12 of the 15 parcels, so that $9,000 is not going to be needed, so I just thought I'd share that with council. And last thing I just thought of, we received our bare root trees this year, today, and so we're planning on planting late next week, so we'll be planting in the city. We're going to try to focus on the main streets, Miami Street and North Main especially, try to fill in some of the gaps along those streets with these bare root trees. So we purchased 50 this year, so just got them today. That's all I have.
Rural Department.
I just want to offer congratulations to Officer Todd Burkett and his retirement. His last day with the police division was last week. We are going to miss him He was a fantastic investigator, so we look forward to working with him in his new role as a victim advocate for Project Woman. On the tax side, we only had 10 defendants that we had to file criminal complaints for failure to file their income taxes so far this year. Now, if you have any questions whatsoever about tax ordinance for the city, I urge you to contact the finance department and income tax supervisor. Get those matters taken care of, because I really don't enjoy citing people in court and then they have to pay court costs and fines in addition to paying their taxes. Also, related to Mayor Beaton's proclamations earlier in the agenda, the month of April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, so there is a Wear Blue to Work Week initiative, and April 13th, if you wear blue to work, to recognize child abuse prevention. We would all appreciate it. Thank you.
Chris, from money.
City income taxes are due Monday, April 18th. All residents of the city are required to file either the tax form or the exemption form if they're retirees. If you have any questions, you can contact the office, 652-4313.
Administration, Gary.
A couple of items. First of all, again, reminder, the compost facility is open, so if anybody has opportunity or need to get out there, it is open daily now. Reminder, next Tuesday, first ever community-wide curbside pickup of non-hazardous solid waste. So we encourage everyone to participate, opportunity to get things maybe off the front porch if they shouldn't be on the front porch. Maybe it's an opportunity to just take them out after the curb and be done with it. So just again, it's a good opportunity to look in the nooks and crannies around the house, the basement, the attic, the garage, things that are non-hazardous that comply with the mailing that went out in the last utility bill. They'll start coming through the city on Tuesday the 12th. They're going to start in the first ward, and based on the volume, we'll drive how quickly they get through all 4 wards. Again, a reminder that once they come through your neighborhood, they won't come back. So if you missed it, you'll have to figure out a different way of getting rid of the material. So I don't want to, unless you want to wait for the next time we do it, I don't know when that'll be, but again, so they'll start picking up next Tuesday. If you have anything you need to get out there, get it out either by the end of the day Tuesday or first thing, by the end of the day Monday or the first thing Tuesday morning. And the only simplest thing I can say again, they will follow the recycling pickup, residential recycling route. So if they pick up your recycling, they'll be coming by your house, pick up anything that you want to give them. So again, it's a non-hazardous solid waste, and we anticipate a good opportunity for the community to get things cleaned out of the garage or any place else they want to get rid of. Last item, we get a few questions periodically about update on the Q3 property, and I'll give you an update on the Q3 property. But before I do, I'd like to just share one thing with, there's still people out in the community that believe that the city owns those parcels, and we don't own those parcels. We're awaiting the opportunity for the end user to be identified and come forward to say, we're ready to go, we want to take over the property. At that time, we'll start the process to take ownership of the property so we can get it cleaned up and get it redeveloped. So just to make sure that everyone's clear, the city does not own the property, and we're just working and waiting in the wings for everything to fall into place. The end user that we've been anticipating wanting to take those properties over has requested a 90-day extension. The extension they had ran through the end of March, and they've asked Jobs Ohio for another 90-day extension, and they were granted that. We got an email today granting that request. So we're going to continue to do what we can do on the sidelines. We're not, keen on investing any more money at this point. We're going to kind of sit tight and do what we have to do to keep the project viable. But this time, we're not spending additional funds that I think so far this year we may have spent $100 with that. So we've been keeping it pretty tight. We did a lot of the heavy lifting last year with all the, regulatory work and the legal work and that type of thing. So we've got things poised pretty well. We're not ready for the final yet, but once we see that opportunity coming, we'll come back to council and get things rolling. So at this point, again, Jobs Ohio has granted a 90-day extension, which will run through the end of June, and hopefully by then we'll, maybe before then, we'll have a clearer picture. But right now, status quo. So that's the latest on that. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Mayor Bean.
Just reiterate that Healthy Kids Day is the 16th of April. Put your walking shoes on, come out in the morning out at UU, and walk with me for 2 miles. Also, that afternoon, 2 to 6, is Hope for a Hero, which is fight against heroin. I would like to see quite a few people out there and participate and listen to and talk to people who have been fighting this scourge. So I think you'd get a real eye-opener when you come out. Also, I got an email. There's a fundraiser for PAWS. It's called Pin for PAWS, April 15th at Southwest Bowl. If you're interested in participating in the fundraiser for PAWS, you can contact Jennifer Young. She's the manager. Her number at the shelter is 653-6233. So if you're interested in helping PAWS and Bowl too at the same time, get a hold of them and find out more about it. That's it.
Thank you. Couple things. Tomorrow at 3 o'clock, there's a LAC meeting, local access channel upstairs. If you're interested, come. If not, we're going to handle a couple things and say what's going to happen in the future with cable TV. I'll get back with you and let you know what happens if you don't come. How's our Gov Deals auctions coming? Are we selling stuff left and right? Gov Deals, are we selling stuff left and right, more fire hydrants?
I don't know if they sold any fire hydrants. Chad, last time, he had a generator that was on the Gov Deal, and it's one of those things that sat pretty tight. There was not a lot of activity. It was under $2,000 as the deadline approached. In the last few hours, it just took off, and he ended up, I think, somewhere around $15,000. So it's a good opportunity for us to take some of the items that we take out of circulation or replace. Gov Deal is a good outlet for it. It gives us the competitive advantage that we need to try to move product that we no longer have value for the city. So those have been a pretty successful outlet for us for most of this thing. Between that and the July 4th auction, those are our two primary outlets to get rid of unwanted or surplus equipment material.
Can we put salt on there? I mean, we got, put salt in there. Like you never know.
The hydrants have been selling. I think they sold through.
Good. That's amazing. Like I said at the work session, we will be speaking more to the charter changes that we need to make. Speaking with our law director, there's quite a few we need to do, so make sure you can get to that. Be the last Tuesday of the month.
Last Tuesday of the month.
And then we're in our work sessions upstairs.
Well, it's the 4th Tuesday. I can check the date here in a minute.
And we can order pizza again if you want to get back into that, but I'll check with Amy to check to see about that.
22, yeah.
Yeah. You didn't give us a school update this time, so I'm not going to ask you, I'm going to ask you guys. You hear anything about school? Because in speaking to one of the school board members that said, Marty, this is one of the biggest projects in Urbana. I would think that there'd be some kind of, in the newspaper, or an article about what's going on. We're spending, every month we send a little check in for our taxes, and is there anything you guys have heard about the school situation?
I was actually going to ask Carrie for an update because it was in the work session notes about the 50-year plan